Hi there, thank you for tuning in to Hunter Horsemanship and our question and answer session. So I have two very similar questions from two different folks. So Julie and Tamara, this is for you. Julie's question is, my horse hates noise like plastic bags and similar items. He's ready to bolt at a moment's notice. He's knocked me down before. How do I do what you do safely? And Tamara's question is, what can I do to desensitize my horse, Rosie, so she's not so spooky, and how can I do that? So we're going to take both those questions and kind of combine them into one answer. So I do all sorts of desensitizing. Obviously you guys have probably seen on the Facebook page, you know, whenever I put plastic bags or something and let a horse go, that is definitely not the first thing that I do. There's a lot of prep work before you just throw stuff all over your horse and let him go. So I'm going to show you with Leo here a few things. Now, he's been desensitized a lot, but he's still a very reactive horse, so we'll still probably be able to see what to do if your horse is really scared of something. Alright, so first of all, I'm going to show him a plastic bag, and this is a great way. So always like bring your treats or your carrots in a plastic bag when you're going out to the barn for a horse that's scared of plastic, because that way they associate plastic bag equals carrot. Awesome. Just do that every single time. One simple way. Another thing, you can tie the plastic bags to feeders, tie them just everywhere so that they have to be touching, tie it to their grain buckets, their water bucket, and believe me, they're not going to be so scared of the plastic bag if they've been thirsty all day and they really need a drink. Then they're going to try it out. Same goes for tarps. I think it's so silly to see a horse that's scared of a tarp, because all of my Mustangs, when they first get here, they just eat off of a tarp constantly. So now all of my Mustangs, every night, they'll grab a tarp if they see one and drag it somewhere and then stand on it and be like, it's dinner time, ready to go. So there's really no excuse for things like plastic to be scary for a horse. It just takes a lot of time, and they need to recognize that it's not going to eat them, it's not going to hurt them, and it takes consistency on our part. So let's get going. So brought down some plastic bags, receipts in them. So I always just start by showing the horse. Put it right in front of their nose or off to the side, and have your horse touch it to acknowledge it. Now Leo's kind of one of those that is like, if I ignore it, it will go away, and that's why he used to explode all the time. So I'm just going to kind of leave it here until he acknowledges it. There. He acknowledges, I take it away. So now it's out of his danger zone, it's still on his radar, but he's not scared of it because I gave him the reward of the release of pressure, the pressure being the scary object. So we're going to show him again. Touches it, it goes away. Now, everything you do on one side of the horse, you have to do on the other side, because their brains are different than us. So if I come over here, he's never seen this before. So, show him the scary. Now I'm kind of getting like the old cow horse reaction, like there's nothing, but there you go. He said, okay, I acknowledge that that's there. So obviously I'm not getting the spook that I was kind of expecting from him. So once your horse is to that point, well, they acknowledge it, you take it away, acknowledge it, take it away. Then we're gonna make some more noise down along their body. So at this point, a round pen or a big stall, like 24 by 24 or bigger, like up to round pen size, would be best. But obviously not a big pasture where you can't catch them again. So as long as he's standing here, I'm going to make some noise, and then I'm gonna release the pressure. And I'm going to make some noise. Oh, there we go. So now I'm going to continue that noise until he stops and looks at it. So I hope you can still see him over here. Good. Alright, I don't know if you saw, but he ran over there and then he looked at me, and then I touched, he acknowledged, we moved on. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. Oh, now he's like, oh my gosh, this is something new. So now it's actually a thing. So I'm going to do the same exact spot, and if you noticed, I was not standing in front of him, off to the side, in the danger zone. I'm always like a good arm length away, and giving them lots of exits. So he has 3 exits right now. He can go this way, he can go that way, or he can go back and around. We want the horse to have as many exits as possible. Good. So I don't know if you could tell, but he flinched, but he didn't move. So I stopped the pressure and released it. I'm going to do it again. Good boy. No flinch. So I always want to end on a good note. I'm going to move the angle a little bit. There you go. So again, I'm off to the side. He's got 3 different exits. He can go forward, he can go side, or he can spin and go the other direction. No movement, so I take the pressure away. No movement, so I take the pressure away. He didn't like it, but he stayed planted. So the only time I would continue making noise is if he takes off. I'm going to make lots of noise and chase him and chase him and chase him until he stops and looks at it, and then I take it away. Good boy. So he doesn't like it, but he's putting up with it. He knows. Good boy. Now we're going to reward him. Alright, so what happens if your horse is just constantly taking off and won't even acknowledge you? Well, that happens a lot at the beginning. So, it's called persistence, and you need to be consistent that if they're running away, you continue making the noise or flapping the tarp or whatever you're going to do, clanging the cans until the horse stops and looks at you. So the very first time I did anything like this with Khaleesi, I was in the arena with a flag for 2.5 hours, and as she ran around me in a panic until she finally stopped, looked at me, I put the flag down, I gave her lots of pets, and we left it there. The next day, walked in, touched her ever with the flag. She got it figured out that, hey, if I stop and acknowledge the item, it goes away. It's not going to get me. Alright, so next, let's try cans. Tamara, here's a great thing you can do. Cheap, free. Use a tie string. I also use laundry containers that are empty. I fill them with rocks. You can use pop bottles. Pool noodles are great. Anything that can make a noise or is weird. So first I'm just going to kind of go around. So I tell he really doesn't like things in the back, but he's doing great. You can kind of wiggle him around. So I'm in neutral position right now. If I were to stop and point and like give him a whip, then I'd want him to move. But right now my shoulders are parallel to his, so I'm telling him, hey, we're in neutral, we're not going anywhere. So that's why he's just ground tied. He's not supposed to move. So this might take quite a while with your horse, but your horse will get there. Snow went all the way around. Good boy. Give him a pet and release the pressure. Good boy, Leo. Alright, now I'm going to touch him with him. And you don't want to continue doing this. Like, see how I do it for about 10 seconds because he's not moving? If you continue the pressure and just kept going and going and going and going and going, eventually the horse is just going to move, whether it's a fly or they're scared or whatever reason. And then if you stop when the horse moves, then they just won, and they think the release is when I move. So we want to make sure that we keep the sessions really short and keep his feet planted in one place. Alright, so Tamara, there's a few super cheap or free ways you can desensitize your horse. And Julie, here's the next thing you can do with your horse. So you want to just stay really safe while you do this. So, big round pen with really good footing. Put protective boots on your horse if you think they're going to panic. And then I usually just use a tie string because if a horse is going to step on it or get stuck in some way, they can break a tie string. And I always have a pocket knife just in case for any reason they do get stuck. You can just cut them right off easily. So I put it loose around their neck. We're going to start that, and then I'm going to tie. The reason we had the surcingle on was so we could tie some plastic bags, and then we're going to see if we can get a reaction out of him. some horses, like Leo here, will put up with this stuff until you get them to move. So I'm going to load him up and then ask him to move, just like it was regular day, like we were just lunging. And he's never done this before, so we'll see for real. Good boy. Okay, don't want him to step on a rope, so I'm going to clear that off. Alright, now it might be kind of difficult for me to film if he has a reaction, but it's okay. Alright, so now he's loaded up. He's ready to go. He's free. My arena is clear of obstacles, so he's not going to hurt himself in any way. I do not have protective boots on him because he's never taken an overreach step. But if you did have a larger horse especially, or one that was prone to overreaching when they are going fast, then I would definitely put boots on them. Alright, so we're going to ask him to walk. 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 And he says, no, I know that I'm going to have to work. Good boy. Out. So, good. That was an okay reaction. I mean, he was a little nervous, you could tell, because I just said to walk, but he trotted, and then he stopped because he knows stop is release of pressure. Walk. Out. Out. That's pretty scary, but he's doing really good. As soon as I quit the pressure, he quit moving. Alright, so I hope Tamara and Julia, I hope that answers your questions on how to desensitize your horse for cheap and safely. Just make sure you don't stand directly in front of or directly behind your horse while you're doing anything like this. And if your horse is in the panic state, like really running, really nervous about it, you just have to let them run it out. It's not going to kill them. It's not going to hurt them. Even if they run for quite a while, it's okay. Eventually they're going to stop. And then you walk up to them like it's no big deal. And you take it off and you put it right back on and you ask them to move again. And they're probably not going to run in that panic state again. Alrighty. Thank you so much, you guys.